Hi, warriors, and welcome to the Warrior Enclave with Bebe and Toro, where we shatter the silence, share our stories, and believe women, period. Today, we're going to be talking about toxic family setups, most especially how it relates to you as a woman or a femme who's looking to partner, date, marry a man. Especially a cis het man. So, charity begins at home. Our first introduction to society is usually through our families. However, that is set up. There are many different variations and permutations and combinations for families. So it doesn't really matter what the blood relation is per se or exactly what it is, but just the people that you grew up with, the people who are at home with you, the village that raised you. Exactly, the village that raises you, the ones who are closest to you. I mean, it's no secret in 2023 that we live in a man's world. And it really doesn't matter the man, what he is, what his standing is outside. Usually when he comes home and, the patriarchy kicks in, every man is a king on his own island.
I mean, personally, I do want to emphasize that this man can be an ignoramus to the entire world. In his place of work, the guy is nonsense.
If he even has work.
At church, where his social circles, this guy is not rated at all. But he knows that
the minute he comes home,
as I come into my house,
yes,
I can be the king in this little kingdom.
Simba things.
My heart
straight up
breaks.
Lion of the, pride, leader of the pride.
A lot of these men, especially most of them that try to marry up, they know that their wives, they could not hold a candle to them anywhere. But they know that the moment they can successfully wife her up, then they can be her king. Do you get what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's just what the patriarchy is. That's how we are all groomed, both men and women and every gender in between, how men are in a man's world. Usually when that man is at home, being the patriarch, the conduct and the character of the man usually determines what the family dynamics are. Is this somebody who loves genuinely, or is this somebody who just provides acts of care? There's not necessarily a core of kindness at it. How are the needs of the family met? Is it just materially? Is it emotionally as well? Is it spiritually? What is the nature of the bond?
Also, what is the energy? Is it bare minimum energy?
Exactly.
What's the bare minimum that I can do that I can still puff my chest and say that I'm the man? Or is there a generosity in the way this man shows up for his family, for his children, for his wife,
His contributions, again, not just financially or materially, but energetically, effort-wise, physically, presence.
Because I can send you to school, and I can afford to send you to these kinds of schools, but what kind of school will I actually send you to? Will I send you to do you get what I mean? Or will I actually pour my investment into you and let you know that I take my responsibilities in this family seriously? That's just what I mean by that spirit of generosity. Is there withholding, or is there a pouring into the family?
And what is your reason for pouring? There are some men who would pour into their families seemingly generously, but it's for them. It's still for them. And, you can tell by the time you start peeling back the layers. But what I really want to emphasize is that the biggest indicator, the biggest factor, to consider when it comes to family dynamics and family setups is really how that patriarch, again, this is usually a man raised in a man's world. How does he treat his spouse? How does he see women? if this is a man who is inherently misogynistic or sexist, it's going to show. It's going to show in the way he treats his spouse, and by extension, her offspring. And usually what will then solidify the family setup is how that spouse accommodates how she's treated by the man. So is this somebody that
Puts up a fight?
Yeah,
is
she putting up a fight in front of her children, demonstrating standing up for oneself? Is this somebody who values his spouse's contributions mentally, like they make decisions together? It's not just some de facto default, I'm the penis holder, so I'm the leader and I decide everything and everybody just kowtows to me. Is it toxic? Is it an abusive situation? And is the mother keeping it real with the children?
Or has she bought into her own abuse?
Yeah, has she bought into her own abuse? Is she a patriarchy princess herself? Is she like padding the dissonance on, managing the man's reputation, even though, not cleaning it up, essentially laundering what her husband is in that family. So that will affect children. Children are so impressionable. They absorb everything before they even understand what's going on. So all these things, it affects all of us. All these things will shape the individual that you then meet and partner up with. And so besides examining one's own family of origin, which everyone should be doing.
Especially as a woman, like you have to do that.
Exactly. Examining your own family of origin, having like clear eyes on what's going on there, parsing things out, deconstructing, reprogramming. You also need to have the same approach to your partner's family setup as well, to then see how you can fit into it. Or if you are available to be pulled into that.
To add on to your point, the reason why we say this is, look, we are all imperfect and we're raised by imperfect people. So you have to look at the ways in which you have been traumatized as a person growing up, your childhood traumas, the things, your blind spots, because all of this will inform who you are. And if you ever, as a woman, walk into a situation or an institution like marriage, not knowing who you are, my dear, what you will see there, only you will cry alone. And I'm saying that like I'm being very, very dead ass here, because as an institution, that game is rigged against you, period. Now, if you now don't even know who you are, what your values are, the things you want to stand up for, the things that are important to you, the things you want to make sure your children don't have to go through. If you don't know all of these things, you're going to walk into that institution blind, and from jump, you're going to be fighting that battle and you will be losing. You will be losing. You won't even know what happened to you. So to add on to what my sister said about how a woman is already known that, okay, this guy is going to show up here like the king, no problem. Now, how you as a woman show up as well to that arena, ready for battle, ready to make sure that, look, I will be respected in this space. I will be a collaborator in this space. Do you get what I mean? If you don't show up like that, that guy will show you pepe. And it doesn't even matter how great, how kind, how
progressive, how woke, how pro, whatever.
How liberal you think this man is.
They have blind spots too. Again, just being a man in a man's world and not being able to relate to all the other marginalized folks who are not that. That misogyny, that hatred of women gonna jump out. It's gonna rear its head at some point.
and who will be the scapegoat? You. You are the one that will chop it. I've seen many a woman, for me, I always say, I'm just so grateful. Don't pity me. Me, I've been saved and I've been delivered from my own strongholds. It's those of you that are still married. It's me, I'm actually pitying you, actually. So let me just tell you now, if you don't show up to that space ready to battle for your soul, and it doesn't matter how kind, how great, how whatever you think this man is, there are blind spots that guy is carrying that dehumanizes you, because that's just how he was raised. Whether or not from family, from society, from school, from church, from wherever, that is just how
It's everywhere.
That's how he has been groomed. So,
and you also have been groomed to accept.
Exactly. So by the time your eyes start opening to your own oppression, you better make sure your eyes are open before you actually enter. But if you now enter that institution and your eyes are starting to open, don't close your eyes, or open it wide and then begin to fight for your soul, begin to fight for your own dignity in that relationship. So I guess I hope you guys have just understood the point. I don't want to belabor it. Bottom line, the way men and women are socialized in this world, it puts you as a woman on the back foot in marriage. Now, if your eyes are not open, your problem has really just started. So that is why we push, honestly, know who you are. Open up your eyes. Don't run from opening up your eyes. And in opening up your own eyes to see who you are as a person and seeing what your life is about, take a good look at this person you are marrying, specifically the family they are coming from. That will really, really determine how hot that oil is that they're going to use to fry you. Take a good look at that family. There's no, the reason why we see all this evil mother-in-law trope, evil sister-in-law tropes, this is not, it is real. The breakfast you would chop from the man, but you would chop from his family too. So open your eyes wide, my dear.
One major thing that you really need to look out for when evaluating your partner and their family of origin is enmeshment. Now, sometimes this might be a little tricky to clock because there are families that, the rot is deep, but when you see it from the outside, oh my God, it is such a beautiful, picturesque, thing. They're able to cosplay that perfection. But when you investigate a little further, what you'll find is that there are really no boundaries within the family. There's no proper separation. You'll find that they're all just bonded together by unhealthy emotions, by trauma. And so the way that you will just start seeing the little weird, like, red flags popping up here and there in the way that they interact, in the way that they relate, especially, how they are internally versus externally. So you'll find that sometimes it's like, but this family is supposed to be a happy, perfect family. And, everyone has their ish together and everyone is well adjusted and this, but you just be seeing like just the weird things in there. Like there's this like weird competition or weird hater energy or weird like survival tactics. If like the patriarch especially is someone who is abusive, controlling, manipulative, you find, family members taking on different roles. One is a golden child, one is a scapegoat. Sometimes the role
is invisible.
Yeah, sometimes the roles will flip around, people throwing each other under the bus.
To help you out, I was about to say something that is very, very clear and indicative of enmeshment is factions. When you see that factions exist in families, right? It's like this 2 against that 1, this 5 against this 8. When you see those kinds of things, that is a clear sign of enmeshment. Those are people that have grouped together to survive the chaos in which they grew up
the greater
under.
chaos there. And another thing that will just be kind of weird is no matter what the internal intrigue and politics are, when something happens to one of the family members, or when one of the family members has to face something on the outside, doesn't matter what it is, whether they are responsible, whether they are accountable, whether they're whatever, you'll find the whole family will rally together to enable and shield that member. And it doesn't, what is family for? Family is there for support. They're there to catch you. They're the first like net of community for you and all that. But like, you will find that individuals from these toxic family setups will propagate the toxicity outside. So maybe do something heinous or unspeakable or abuse somebody else outside. And that family will rally around them to
clean,
support, to enable, to clean up,
clean their ass.
to manage it, instead of letting that family member take accountability. And again, that just speaks to the lack of boundaries, because, you know, that person is not separate from the unit.
I was about to say
what that person does, they're all together.
Yeah, they see themselves as one identity. And that's why it feels like, you know, they all have to, it's all hands on deck here in attending to whatever situation that pops up there. I did want to also even ask what you were saying, in that, like, that's the whole point of family. They show up for you and they're there to help you and all of that. But there's all of that entering into a toxic side where you see whole ass families covering up murder, whole ass families covering up rape. You know, I see a lot of things in the US where some guy would have been driving drunk, would have hit someone, killed somebody. It is the father or the mother that will come help them bury the body. Do you get what I mean? That's what it looks like. That's what enmeshment looks like. Because I can still love my child, but they still need to face the consequences of their action. I can still be holding his hand. A grown-ass murderer that has raped and killed 20 people, I can still be holding his hand as he's getting his lethal injection. That doesn't mean I don't love my child. Do you get what I mean? But when you now want to throw yourself on a shield to make sure that that guy doesn't get his due, that is what enmeshment looks like. So that's why I wanted to clarify that, yes, there is standing and, you know, supporting your own and being a family, but as a family, there also needs to be a line where, look, I've seen families, I'm not going to, I've seen families with you know, such loyalty and, you know, all for one and one for all kind of vibes. But at the same time, there has to be a line. If not, you'll be entering into some dangerous waters with some of these families. That's what enmeshment does to you. And you will not even know when you are having an issue with one, but you are actually having an issue with 10 people. Do you get what I mean? People that can't see themselves as separate from themselves, that's a problem.
I think you can illustrate with like a personal example here, especially when you like initiated your divorce and all of a sudden it's...
Oh yeah. Here's what enmeshment looked like for me. When I was married to my abusive ex, right? Enmeshment looked like his family picking up the slack, where they knew all the abuse I was enduring in there. But his dad was going overboard, trying to, you know, members of his family going overboard with their kindness to try and counteract the abuse they knew I was enduring in his hands. That's what enmeshment looks like. It's like you are married to all of them. You know, they they come together like that. Now, all of that is all well and dandy. Sometimes in my work, it can delay your, what that does is it gaslights you. It keeps you in that toxic space longer because you're not able to connect the fact that, okay, this person is horrible to me. Let me get out. But you won't be able to get out because, oh, it's like his family is nice to you. It's like they're protecting you somewhat. Not really. They're just really doing the bare minimum to keep you there. But they want you to still be there enduring the abuse. They don't really want to do much to help you too much to come out of the abuse. Do you get what I mean? So there's that. Then there's now the other end where their mask now fully comes off, where, okay, you're like, you know what? I can no longer stay in this relationship. I need to get out. This guy is abusive and he will kill me if I stay here. That is where all the niceness that you thought you were saying before, all of it just dries up. Before you know it, this sister is peddling things, saying all sorts of things about you. This mother too is calling people up, calling people that your family knows, telling them all sorts of nasty, disgusting, trashy things about you.
Taking the stand in court.
That was the one that even shocked me the most, actually, because number one, not only was it like indicative of the fact that this guy doesn't even have any friends or doesn't even have anybody that could even, you know, attest to his character. He had to now be his mother, his sisters, entering into a witness box. And I've spoken to so many legal professionals. Those of you that know what my mom does, you know. It has been unheard of. It has never been heard of where in a divorce proceeding, the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, the sister-in-law, they are the ones that are providing witness statements and stuff against against the wife that said he's just no longer doing it. And then they came up with all their long list of lies. Do you get what I mean? But these are people that literally, right up until the day before I escaped this marriage, they were still there, showing love, doing as if they cared about you, all of that kind of stuff. But the moment you actually put that boundary up and say, you know what, I no longer want to be here, their mask comes up fully. And then you now begin to see the role that each of these people were playing in your life, in how they were all set up actually to keep you trapped there. Because the truth of the matter is, they are comfortable with you being the scapegoat to this abusive man. Because the moment you leave, they now become the scapegoats. They are the ones that now start to chop the guy's uncontrollable, unhinged behavior. They are the ones that start to get the brunt of it. So they are happy to keep you there so that you can continue to be the defense mechanism that keeps the guy's chaotic behavior like within this space, and so it doesn't blow back on them. I feel like I'm speaking in like parables and stuff, but like I hope you guys get the point, honestly. Like maybe you can even help out a little.
I need to take a break. I need to wrap up this hot.
Why are you sweating like this?
Because in this next segment, we're going to talk about something that Freud was kind of onto. I don't know if he got it all, but he definitely noticed something that I think is relevant. And that is the relationship between daughters and their fathers and sons and their mothers. So for me, the way I term the dynamic is patriarchy princesses and girl dads, and toxic men and boy moms. So addressing women and femmes, it is so important for you. So important for you. I don't know what your path to this will be, because as children, we're born and we idolize our parents. And like I said, that first family setup is your first introduction to, there's so much to the world. There's so much you're blind to. It's like a little cult, sometimes. So, you need to be very critical, like have a critical eye when you are evaluating how your father is in a man's world. I mean, study him within the family, study the way he treats your mother, but look at him in the greater sense of things when we're talking about patriarchy, and how he conducts himself as a man in a man's world. By this, I mean looking at things like integrity, accountability, taking up space, consideration of others, selflessness, things like that. Not doing things that are just self-serving because it's what you want and how you want to do it.
Makes him look good.
Yeah. How he, again, because men are just given all this power, how does he wield it? Especially when it seems like he's not getting his way. Does it then devolve to abuse and dominance? And especially for girls, who find themselves to be the object of their father's affection. So maybe he's not showing you his ogre face. You don't see that side directed at you. And because it's not directed at you, you're able to close your eyes or, erase it from your memory when you see it displayed to other people, either within the family or even outside at work, the way he treats, staff, workers, employees, things like that, waiters at the restaurant. People, if you don't open your eyes and get a holistic view of the whole man, and you have been the object of your father's affection and he conducts himself like a man in a man's world, as men often do, you will have such a huge blind spot and you will be a prime target for abuse. And you will not even know that you're available for it, but you will be available for, at the very least, the level of toxicity that your father displays. and more. Like if you don't open your eyes by yourself, you will usually end up having to chop, you know, all the what your father displays that you're blind to, which you're already accustomed to, and then more like that limit will have to be pushed more before it jolts you awake that, oh my God, ooh, this is how the world is. This is my place as a woman, and this is how I need to navigate safely. I think we have an episode of The Corner which talks about this phenomenon a little bit. I think Bebe like describes it a little bit more from a more personal angle, but I cannot emphasize how important it is for you to shake off that programming of being a patriarchy princess if your patriarch has selected you and crowned you as such.
Daddy's girl.
Remove it and give him back his crown, say thank you, and grow into your own being. Again, that enmeshment we're talking about. Have a healthy attachment style to your father and humanize him. Don't idolize him, because that's recipe for breakfast.
See, I hope all of you were listening to all this explanation, because left to me, I feel is a futile effort. All these things that we're saying here, particularly on this episode, flesh and blood cannot reveal it to you. I'm just so sorry. I hope actually that as we're doing all this talking here, someone can actually just listen to us and get the concepts and get what we're talking about. But it is just so unfortunate the way we've been raised, the way we've been groomed. Usually the only thing that will open up a woman's eyes to the true
nature of men,
to her true status actually in this world, the way the world insists on treating her, the way men around her in her life, the ones that love her, the ones that don't, whatever, the way they insist on treating her, the only thing that will open up a woman's eyes to her own oppression is breakfast. That is the key. Without that breakfast, your eye cannot open.
Ooh.
And it is just a simple fact. Now, some of you, and we're harping on this, daddy's girl, patriarchy princess, but there are also a select group of women that were daddy's scapegoat. Now, my sister might disagree with me, but me, I consider those the lucky ones. They chopped their own breakfast up front. So they got to see the true nature of men from a very young age. And they got to guard themselves. Now, it comes with a lot of pain. It comes with a lot of hurt. And it comes with a kind of brokenness that, to be honest, one ends up carrying with them for the rest of their lives. But at least it prepares them for the way men are in this world, and they can begin to already start in that. They can begin to already divest and be like, you know what? I am not available for this role in life. This role that the world wants to push onto me, I'm not available for it. Now, for those of us that are daddy's girls, I consider myself one too. My eye did not open on time because I was the object of my father's love.
Affection.
I was the object of his affection. Now, because my own eye did not open on time, I saw a toxic male and it felt comfortable to me. Oh, I can handle this one. I was the golden child of a toxic male, so I can possibly, there are some things.
I have his type at
exactly,
home.
I have his type at home. I have his type at home, and there are some things that he's doing I don't really like. Don't worry, I can manage it because I thrived in an environment that had a toxic male. I was one of those that was able to thrive. Unbeknownst to me, I went to go and marry somebody. Hey, the one that guys, I can't even. You know what? I can't do this. I can't. Bottom line, what I saw there, and in a way, I actually thank that guy, because if this guy was the same frequency as my dad, I probably will still be there swimming in it, swimming in all the toxicity in my patriarchy princesshood, doing my backstrokes, enjoying the nonsense in there, you know. But this guy was so bad that my eye popped open and so this is what it means to be a woman in this world. I beg. That was my feminist awakening happened from when I got married. Specifically, within that first year of marriage, that is when I opened, like, my feminist awakening happened to me. You know, I began to just see that, oh my God, you know, I was once a golden child. Now I had become a scapegoat. And this guy put his foot on my neck. So that is what I mean. And that is what opened me up to all the knowledge, to the point where by the time I was escaping the marriage, when I now went into the research on abusive dynamics, you know, understanding that the patterns of men in general, oh my God, I was floored. So this is what I mean by, in terms of, when I say flesh and blood cannot reveal it to you, because I'm pretty sure there's a reason why we have the birds. There's a reason why we have the pygmies, because we are trying to tell you about your oppression and you are fighting me. Sorry, stay in it, remain in it. And that's another point I wanted to add, in that a lot of people never wake up. And they never wake up. Sometimes maybe the frequency of the toxicity that they're coming from, it matches the man that they marry. So they're able to just remain there. Some of them, they're even coming from something worse than the man. So they're even able to thrive with their husbands because, what they saw before is even worse. Do you get what I mean? But if you're one of those ones that, again, titration, you did not get the calculation right, where you're coming from and where you ended up completely different, that is where, actually, if you don't open your eyes, the shege that you will see there, nobody can help you, actually. And it is a reason why, again, we look at a lot of women 10 years, 20 years into the marriage, and you can see the light is gone from her eyes. Gone. So don't joke with this thing when we're telling you about opening up your eyes to discover who you are. Who am I? Where am I coming from? Who is this man that I am about to marry? Where is he coming from?
And what am I about to enter? One chance?
This is a controversial opinion, but as a woman, let me just tell you now, the moment you marry is one chance. First of all, that is just baseline, one chance. Now, the level at which your one chancery is all dependent on that man and where he's coming from. So I think we should just end it there. Selah.
Now, on the flip side, when it comes to toxic men and boy moms, this dynamic usually stems from the fact that, a mother is usually the primary caregiver. That's who, a son will get succor, nourishment, affection, all that from. That's who will also get the frustrations of his mother, especially if the kind of man she's dealing with or the kind of man she's partnered with, is affecting her. That bleeds onto the children too. But this affects boys in a specific way because the world is fundamentally patriarchal. It grooms everyone to hate women. So you'll find that a lot of men have this dysfunctional attachment style to their mothers where that's who they want to receive love from. That's who they receive love from. But that's also who they resent and hate just because of her own, parents are all humans. So whatever flaws I feel like a mother has, for a boy, it kind of seems magnified because of that layer of grooming, of patriarchy, of misogyny, of, women are shit, essentially. And so you'll find that boys they'll have just this internal conflict that if they're not self-aware, if they're not tuned within, they're not even able to see it. A lot of this is happening unconsciously. So they're suppressing the resentment that they have for their mother as a result of the patriarchy that they do believe in and want to, eat from.
I wanted to add that a lot of it too is also the transferred aggression that they are too afraid to put on their dads,
exactly,
they transfer it to their mom.
Right, because again, dad is king, he has the power, it's whatever, so there's no avenue to challenge him. And when they have all that frustration, all that whatever, the world has told them that the mother is available, women are available for that. That's where you dump that. So, the boys grow up, and then I feel like they don't fully individuate, and separate from their mothers. There's just that enmeshment and all that unconscious emotion that's going on.
I wanted to add to what you're saying, because it's also not that they also don't fully individuate, but also a lot of these women too, the love, the affection that
they're clinging
they
to
hold on to these boys,
to their sons. They don't let them go. Yeah,
because they could not get it from their husbands, so they latch onto their sons, and then they now form this emotionally incestuous bond with their sons, and they can't let them go too. Exactly. So it's on both ends, the two of them.
Right. So there's some enablement there, definitely. From that's why we call them boy moms. But because again, men are just given all this power despite their wounds, traumas, and flaws, it just then bleeds out on everyone. And so when a man then partners with a woman, if you've done a little bit of reading on trauma and unconscious emotions and stuff, it's the body holds the score. Unresolved issues are gonna want to be resolved somehow, and so you'll find that these men will recreate
their mommy issues.
Their mommy is the dynamic that they have with their mother on you, and try to resolve it through you. So all the suppressed emotions that they feel shame about, the resentment that they have for their mother that they feel shame about because this was their caregiver, this is the person who whatever, you are the one it's gonna bleed out onto you. So at the end of the day, listen, as a woman or as a femme who is looking to pair up with a man, especially a cis-het man in this cis-het man's world, really the only solution, the only foolproof solution to your survival, it's not even foolproof, but the best solution to your survival in this world is divestment from the patriarchy. Remove your hand from it, wash it. You need to realize and actualize your own worth. You are complete, you are whole, and you are worthy as yourself, as a woman, as a femme, as a divine feminine in this world. You do not need to, that MRS, the cost of MRS, my goodness. They pay, hope you know that.
They pay.
So you need to know in you that you can do that all by yourself. You do not need to feel, even though all the messaging, all the subliminal, the programming, everything is telling you that the man is the prize until you shall have that missus. It doesn't matter all your accomplishments. It doesn't matter anything, or you must be wife and mother. Otherwise you're not woman. You need to divest completely from all that, programming, especially from the patriarchy, because this is the one type of oppression where the oppressed are groomed and forced to be very intimate, close with their oppressor. And you just need to open the news one day and just see all the statistics, the femicides, the violence, it is mind numbing, the way that works. So again, as a woman, as a femme, open your eyes, shine your eye, know that you're good. And I know it's a tough pill to swallow, especially if you're one of those Disney girls, fairy tale girls, fantasy girls. You want the romance, you want the dress, you want the beautiful love story, all that. And that's not to say that that's not necessarily available, but the way men and women are raised and socialized, it's Mars and Venus. So when you're negotiating for partnership, you need to show up in a certain way that is not passive, that communicates what you are and are not available for. And the first thing and the only thing really that the most important thing that you should be available for is yourself.
So, I mean, I'm really glad that you're explaining all of this, because we always say, number one, this is not a man bashing channel. It's just that we don't suffer fools here. And too many fools happen to be men. It's unfortunate. Number two, it is not that we are saying you should not want to have children, you should not want to be partnered up. But we're just telling you that, look, these are the things that are stacked against you. Before you show up to any institution like marriage or even long-term partnership, you have to show up as your full, complete, authentic self, ready to go to battle for your soul against whoever tries to dim your lights. Do you get what I mean? Unless you show up with that kind of energy, number one, the kinds of partners that you will attract to your light would be these kinds of shady, sketchy, abusive characters.
Predators.
Exactly.
Your prey.
Two, the reason why you have to show up like this too is these men, no matter the intention, good or bad, whatever, they have this internalized misogyny, hatred of women that they themselves are not even aware of. We're all on Twitter when we see some nonsense arguments that breaks out. Like, if you guys remember that whole situation about this soccer player that supposedly put his assets in his mother's name and blah, blah, blah. You saw the disgusting display from these men. Both the ones that claim to be feminists, so the ones that are the full-blown, so everybody, it was like a unifier. All sorts of men, if you saw the hot takes, why am I saying if you saw them? So these are the people that you people want to marry you and have children with.
The men that have been married for 10 years came out to say, my wife is not my family.
So this is how they are looking at you. So even the ones that are the benevolent slave masters, we talk about that during slavery times, the enslaved, they had the benevolent masters. They also had the very, very wicked ones, right? As kind and as generous as the benevolent masters were, they still knew how to crack their whip. And usually it will come as a shock to you when the whip will come out.
No, not even that. It will come as a shock to you if you don't realize the system that you're in, which is slavery, which is already what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't matter the enjoyments that you think you're enjoying on that slave farm.
You are not free.
You are still not free. And time and time again, they always know how to remind you that you are their property.
It's just a matter of condition. The conditions just need to be right.
Exactly.
And woo, it jumps out.
So that's what it means to be a woman in this world. And so you can either close your eyes, close your ears to this kind of message that is out there and pretend like it doesn't exist and take whatever you find there, or you can open your eyes to your reality and, like my sister already said, swallow that very tough pill. Because once you've swallowed it,
that's your medicine, baby.
You can now begin to operate and move in this world like a sane human being. You no longer feel crazy, all the things that were happening that you couldn't explain, now you have an explanation for them. And you are better protected. It is for you. Actually, it is really for you. So, I think we have delved well enough into this topic. And like we already said, flesh and blood will have to reveal the rest to you.
Yeah. But it is also, the onus is also on you to not bury your head in the sand, to have self-awareness and environmental awareness, historical awareness. I guess the last thing I can just really leave you with is you need to walk away from any kind of partnership that does not prioritize your utmost respect.
I think you need to say that shit again.
Walk away from any partnership, interaction, relationship that does not prioritize your utmost respect. Love without respect is not love.
It's manipulation.
Yeah, or pedestalization. And they will yank you down from that pedestal and pummel you with the pedestal. If that respect, that basic respect is not there, and that is really what the essence of misogyny and patriarchy is, the absolute lack of respect or ratation for the humanity of women.
If my dignity as a human being is threatened or must be threatened or compromised to exist in this relationship, then I'm sorry, I'm not available for that.
Period. I think that brings this episode to an end. I think it's one of those medicinal ones. It's not always all bants. I hope that this message was delivered in such a way that the people who are ready to receive it can. This is not something that can be shoved down anybody's throat. And for the ones who are taking it in bite sizes, like, receive what resonates and leave the rest. At the end of the day, like, it's your life, it's your journey, it's your walk. And there's no judgment here. We do this out of love, out of the love that we have for women and femmes and humanity, really. So, I think that's it for now. Once again, we see you, we hear you, we believe you here at the Warrior Enclave. Join us in the next episode. Like, share, and subscribe.
Keep on fighting, y'all.
Bye, warriors.